I have a few thoughts to share with our new friend Central Dawah. In case you missed it, I had a debate with Central Dawah recently. The topic was Muhammad in the Bible. The link is in the description box. Before the debate, multiple people sent me a clip of Central Dawah promising the Ummah that he was going to end my career.
And I made a promise to the Muslim Ummah that I will be the one to bury David Wood. I made every Muslim that promise. By the will of Allah, I will end David Wood's career.
Unfortunately for Central Dawah, that didn't happen. He broke his promise to the Ummah. He may feel bad about breaking his promise, but he shouldn't, for two reasons. One, he can always say that he didn't mean he was going to end my career in this debate. Maybe he meant he's going to end my career 10 years from now. Two, the Quran allows Muslims to break their promises. In Surah 66, verse 2, Allah declares, Allah has already ordained for you, O men, the absolution from your oaths. Central Dawah and I discussed the historical background of this verse in our debate. Sunan an-Nasai 34:11. It was narrated from Anas that the Messenger of Allah had a female slave with whom he had intercourse, but Aisha and Hafsa would not leave him alone until he said that she was forbidden for him. Then Allah, the Mighty and Sublime, revealed, O Prophet, why do you forbid for yourself that which Allah has allowed to you, until the end of the verse. This is about Central Dawah's prophet, Muhammad, getting caught in his wife Hafsa's bed with his slave girl, Mary the Copt. Muhammad was allowed to have sex with his slave girls, but his wives didn't want it happening in their own beds. So they kept complaining until Muhammad tried to appease them by promising them that he would never touch Mary the Copt again. Muhammad swore an oath by Allah to his wives, I will never sleep with that slave girl again. But then he got a revelation telling him to break his oath and to go back to having sex with his slave girl. That's the historical background of the opening verses of Surah 66. O Prophet, why do you forbid for yourself that which Allah has allowed to you, seeking to please your wives? And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Allah has already ordained for you, O men, the absolution from your oaths. And Allah is your Mawla, Lord or Master or Protector, and He is the All-Knower, the All-Wise. So, Allah has no problem with Muslim men breaking their promises, which means Central Dawah shouldn't be upset about breaking his promise to the Ummah. But he might also feel bad because of the feedback. People are saying, David Wood mopped the floor with this little Dawah boy. This was one of the most one-sided debates I've ever seen. Absolute brutal beatdown from David. He had the other guy looking like an ignorant clown, lol. Muslims are taking too many L's this year. Give them a freaking break. Central was right about one thing. This debate was embarrassing. D. Wood crushed him. I don't think I've ever seen such a one-sided debate. This feedback could be discouraging, but I'm going to offer Central Dawah some encouragement. Central Dawah, you're young, and this was just one debate. I don't know how your other debates went, but this was only one debate. I see you've been challenging lots of people to debate, and that's a good way to build up experience. You're going to take some L's along the way, but if you learn from each debate, you'll get better and better. In addition to that, you've got something that a lot of Dawah guys don't have. You've got courage. How many Dawah guys are willing to do a debate about Muhammad? Almost none of them. They all basically want to spend their time attacking the Trinity. They don't want to go anywhere near Muhammad, which is strange if you think about it. Because if they could show that Muhammad was a true prophet, that would show that Islam is true. It would be the ultimate Dawah. But they're terrified of subjecting Muhammad to any sort of scrutiny. I wonder why. It's almost like they don't believe they can actually defend him. But you, Central Dawah, to your credit, chose to debate Muhammad in the Bible. We should all give credit where it's due. In a sea of Dawah cowards, Central Dawah stands out because he's willing to defend Muhammad. So, Central Dawah, I encourage you to keep defending your prophet and not to be a coward like so many other Dawah guys. Keep debating and keep improving. But as you debate, I want you to be aware of a few things and to ask yourself a few questions. First, you're copying Muhammad Hijab's chest thumping, which really impresses the Ummah. Ask yourself, why does the new generation of da'is rely so much on me strong, you weak, me humiliate you? If Islam were true, and if Muslims had convincing arguments, would they have to rely on the sort of antics that you'd expect from cavemen? Second, you're copying Daniel Hakikachu's tactic of misrepresenting sources, hoping that no one's going to bother looking up those sources, because if they do, they'll find that you're completely misrepresenting them. Daniel popularized this method. He would cite various sources and studies, claiming that they prove his points. Eventually, Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy read the sources and exposed Daniel for lying about what's in those sources. But it's still a popular Dawah tactic. You go into a debate and you say, Professor Uppingfoth has an article on this, and he agrees with me. Most people, of course, have no clue what Professor Uppingfoth said, so they think you're telling the truth. But eventually, someone looks up Professor Uppingfoth's article and finds out that you're lying. That's the tactic, and you've copied the tactic, Central Dawah. So what I want you to ask yourself is, if Islam were true, and if Muslims had solid evidence for their beliefs, would they need to lie about sources like this? Third, I noticed that you didn't use any of the classic Dawah passages about Muhammad in the Bible, Deuteronomy 18, Song of Solomon 5, John 14, and so on. Instead, you went with Psalm 45, Isaiah 28, etc., which means you're one of the Dawah guys who tries to catch people off guard with arguments they've never heard before. It didn't work, but I want you to ask yourself, if Islam were true, and if Muslims had good arguments, wouldn't they stick to these good arguments instead of needing to change them every time to try to catch people off guard? In other words, the methods that Muslims use to defend Islam are the exact same methods that deceivers and con artists use to dupe gullible people. Ask yourself, does the truth need the exact same methods that deceivers and con artists use to dupe gullible people? Did I need any of that? What arguments did I use? Did I try to catch you off guard with some weird new argument? No, I used the exact same arguments I use whenever I discuss Muhammad in the Bible. Did I have to thump my chest? Not a bit. Did I have to misrepresent sources? Not one. Why? Why do you guys need tricks and deception while the rest of us just need arguments and evidence? Let me know when you figure out the answer to that question, because that'll be the day you're on your way out of Islam.